Hey everybody, it's Jeff, and I'm honored to be speaking with Carlos Miranda here today. And we just kind of wanted to have a conversation because I met Carlos a couple weeks ago up in the Northeast, and Carlos has got quite a resume when it comes to martial arts and combatives and things like that. And he works at a state Department of Corrections, and we're not going to mention that facility today. They're working on getting our products, but I really wanted to talk to Carlos about his involvement with martial arts, his experience of like 35 years. I'll let him go into the details of that, but how when he came across CD3, what he thought. So, Carlos, it's really good seeing you again, brother. It was really good meeting you a couple weeks ago, and I got to learn a little bit about you. And so, why don't you share with everybody your background, and we'll just start with that right there, where you're from, and how you got involved with martial arts and all that, and what you got going on.
I started martial arts when I was a kid, and I fell in love with it. Um, Mainly, I, I love to help people, and I like to see the change that it brought me, and I like to, feed that back to the youngins, you know.
Right. Well, so what is your varying experience that you've had?
Uh, my experience as a martial artist, I've tried several different arts, from tradition to modern jujitsu. I love everything about it, weaponry from empty hands to katas to, you know, kumite. I love everything about it.
And so I think that you're a black belt in a couple different disciplines, right? So just expound on all that stuff for us.
Yeah, I started off with Kempo, American Kempo, and I fell in love with the fruitarity of Kempo. They're full of techniques, and then I dabble into other arts, Taekwondo. I love kicking. Kempo is mainly 80% hand, 20% feet. And I like the kicking aspects of it. So I have friends, black belts in Taekwondo. So we go back and forth. And I like jujitsu, um, Japanese jujitsu, even Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I did this other style called Amak, which is Filipino uh, edge weapon training, um, hybrid. Um, when I first got introduced to hybrid, my instructor was Jason DeLucia. He was actually one of the first guy that went in as the Five Animals Kung Fu back in early '90s when this is this is the beginning of UFC where Royce was killing everybody with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because back in the '80s it was very minimum guys practicing ground Jiu-Jitsu. Everything was Kung Fu or stand-up fighting, kickboxing. And that kind of, martial art has evolved now to a totally different thing, which is nice,
Yeah.
and that's, you know, dabble in every little aspects of the arts, and
Well,
I love it.
I really do think manipulating the body to being able to control your own body and to manipulate other people's body, it truly is an art form. It's not this, it can be brutal, but a lot of ways when you watch people in matches, it really looks almost elegant, like a dance or something, the way people move and are able to, deflect other people and you know, being able to use your body, use your balance, use position and positioning and leverage to subdue or submit other people. So I think that that's very interesting. You know, do you instruct?
Yes, I had a dojo for 25 years, and 1 second. I had a dojo for 25 years, and I closed it in 2016 due to, you know, working second shift. I couldn't be there to kind of manage it. It was too tough
Right.
for me.
right. I
But
mean, a small business is tough, and when you're an absentee owner, it can be even tougher, right? So
yeah,
welcome to the small business world, right? People, uh,
yeah,
I tell them, just remember it's going to be 3 times as hard and 3 times more difficult than what you think it is. And if you got a grasp of that and that it needs a lot of attention, then you'll be there, right?
that's true.
So, um, well, I'm really honored to have you on there just because of your background and stuff and the things that we talked about. How many people, the percentage of Americans, how many people, I mean, you've been around combatives. How many people in the country are really prepared to defend themselves as a percentage? I give it 3 to 4%. And I'm not even, I consider myself not in that 3 to 4%. I
Yeah.
say I know enough to be dangerous to myself, you know? So,
Yeah, I went to karate school for years. What I used to see is, if 10 people come in for the year, you'll probably have maybe two that would actually stick it through to black belt from white to black. And maybe the numbers now has changed. I mean, back then training was slightly different too. We didn't have mats, so it wasn't that easy. Getting slammed on hard floor. Uh, Things have changed a lot. Now we have
right.
soft mat to land on, kinds of nice, neat equipments to work with. So
I think the
it's
popularity of MMA,
that too. Yes,
yeah,
really, really
right.
influenced it. Yeah,
So this is an interesting thought, and you can tell me, and I believe this to be true just from what I've seen and heard talking to other officers and stuff around the country, is because of the popularity of MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and all those things. It's not just the good guys doing it. Now you've got guys on the street that are a criminal element that are good at fighting, and they're a lot of times better than the officers that are going to meet them in a situation. So it's imperative for officers to have some skill set when it comes to combatives and defensive tactics. Have you been seeing that in your environment?
100%, Jeff. And that's I don't take anything lightly. There's a lot of kids that I used to teach that uh, from very young age. They're all adults now. Some did great with their life, and then you got the ones who took a different route and got into criminal activities. So there's a lot of people out there, bad and good, that with skills. I always measure. I have a profile tactics that I usually teach. And it's basically, you deal with weights, scales. You deal with lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. Also, the other factors that we have to look at is skill, strength, sizes, conditions, is very important. You could be a skillful person, but if you don't have condition, um, skills is not going to support you. So you have
Well,
to look at all those measures
yeah.
and just keep on training.
Well, one of the things I've said before is you could be a 120-pound female and you could be a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But if you got a 350-pound guy that is totally ticked off and he wants to land on you, there's a thing called mass and momentum, and it's called physics. It still has a place in
Yeah.
our world, and that's gravity and everything else. So, you
Mhm.
can still inflict damage upon everybody. So that kind of leads me into this segue. You got introduced to CD3 technology, and I
Yeah.
think you met Kevin Hopkins up there. He's our rep in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And what was your initial thought when he told you about it? And then when you felt it, and then with the officers today, with the amount of training that they get, what do you think that brings to the table? So that's really a three-part question, you know?
Yeah. I think it's a great tool that with those profiling that I just mentioned, that it would actually put everybody in a equal playing field as far as technique goes. Because we're trained to take guys down to a restraint position. And like you mentioned, if you have a 125-pound officer trying to take a 280-pound 6'4" solid, it's not going to happen that easy. You
Right.
know, we're sending some of these officers to fail, and and and, and unfortunately, they're going to go to their maximum weapon, which could be the gun. And we're trying. And when I first saw the the CD3 technology, I was very impressed by it, and I wanted to learn more about it because I saw that, with the profiling, it it didn't matter. You know, a small officer can actually do their job and be confident in their job. Uh, when he first did it to me, when before I put my name or I agree to anything, I personally like to test it myself, and I felt it, and then my first initial thought on this was, okay, well, if he grabs my hand, my other hand, I'm going to try to see if I can reach and touch him. Because if I can touch him, that means, I'll have time to grab him or strike him, right? As soon as he grabs my hand, it locks you, which attacks the peripheral nervous system. The arm just kind of gave me a good jolt where for some reason, and this is kind of weird, but my mind, it wasn't on the attacking mode. It was more on the protection mode where I had to put the hand down so my head doesn't hit the ground. That's why I was like, wow, this thing's very, very good.
That's
Where,
part of that neuroperipheral interference, and that's part of how the device, because a lot of guys with your skills would say, well, that's just a pair of gloves. What that's going to do with me? And without adding any combatives to that pair of gloves, it's a true force multiplier. Would you agree?
I agree 100%, you know what I mean? And you know, for the force multiplying, I think it's great because right now we're dealing with manpower in all departments across the
Yeah.
nation.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much having like, when you put it on, it's like having a couple officers with you, you know. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So you said that your mind went somewhere else, and I talk, and that's why we have a saying. It's easy for me to explain to you what happened or what this thing does or show a video. And
Yeah.
we have a saying, feeling is believing. So until you really feel the tool and you can't understand, yeah, there's actually a technology now that's used in the vicinity of soft empty hand control. Yes, it uses conductivity, but the conductivity is so low that it doesn't penetrate through clothing, hair, metal, or fur. It only activates on human skin. Now, it will activate on a totally soaking wet, skin tight t shirt, something like
Mhm.
that. A totally soaking wet jacket won't do it. You can go into a shower and grab some guy and go into a lake and grab him. No
Yeah.
current ever goes into that individual's body. A lot of times, I think, what it's about education. A lot of people think that it's snake oil. It's just too good to be true. Before we had people watching videos, they actually said, well, you paid people to go to the ground.
No,
And
no, yeah, no, that's BS,
so
man.
and I
You know,
just, well,
I just used it on one of the guy here we're training, and he was like, "Wow, this thing is unbelievable." Now, this is a jujitsu guy that's been doing martial arts for probably like 40 years, and he loved it. He said, "You know what? This is probably one of the best tool that he's experienced where, you know, you can easily take anybody down." I mean, yeah, what's nice about it, like to kind of compare to a taser. A taser, when they deploy a taser, obviously you have a distance, and it stiffens the body right out where there's no guiding on guiding that person, that subject down. There might be like a sharp object in the way. Now you might taser this guy right to that sharp object because there's no control behind it. With this here, you're dealing with close quarter uh, combat type of situation, which and I even said it to him. I said, this tool right here, it's pretty much like, you know, You want to welcome the hug, you know, where some people will feel afraid to get hugged. Now you want to, welcome the hug
Right, right.
because you could easily take the person down just by a small touch. And now if you kind of introduce the footwork uh, and the weight distribution and the push and pull game into this, then you could redirect them to a position of your choice to restrain, which
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
Nobody gets hurt.
Yeah, and so we're sitting at about 40,000 uses in training demos in real worlds, 15,000 of those real worlds where there's
Yeah.
been no injuries to date, no lawsuits. And we say, emphatically we're saving at least 40% on, workers' compensation, lawsuits, medical expense for the officer and the inmate or the subject, whatever the case may be. That's to date. We know anything could happen anytime. However, one of the things I just want to caveat, this is where I think we really enhance other tools. A lot of people think we're trying to compete with other devices, like ones that shoot projectiles or whatever the case may be. The fact is, I challenge anybody if I'm an officer, whether it's I'm in a cell, and the guy's got a shank, or I'm out in the street, guy's got a knife or whatever, you know, these tools supplement that because I challenge anybody to come and take that device out of my hand or that device off my belt. I've just eliminated weapons confusion because I'm not going to confuse my hands with anything else. So I think we really supplement those tools and not compete against them because, like I said earlier, or if I didn't say it earlier, for the first time in corrections and law enforcement and hospital security history, you've got a tool that can be used in the vicinity of soft, empty hand control. And we really fill that gap between that soft and hard, empty hand because now we're transitioning from soft, empty hand control to potentially injuring somebody. And now, especially with our AMI and the training that we're going to be doing or that we do across the country with our agency master instructor program, we're really able to help make officers more confident, give them another set of tools that they can use that really bridge that gap between soft empty hand control and hard empty hand control, and then onto the use of intermediate tools and everything else. So, you know, what would you say to those people out there that may be skeptical about the technology, or where would it really fit in? Is it really, like I tell people as an old retired warrant officer, my fun meter and BS meter about that far off the ground. I'm not interested in wasting people's time. So what what would you kind of suggest to people? Um,
I'm the
uh,
type of guy, I have to feel it myself, and I did. And I'll tell everybody out there, you know what, it's probably one of the best tools I've experienced as far as, taking a person down quickly, very effective. And you're not hurting the person, because you got to think in terms of, we deal with many people out there with different backgrounds. You might be dealing with somebody who's mentally ill. And I personally, I try to bring everybody close to home, like brothers and sisters, your mom, your dad. So we're not trying to hurt people.
right,
Obviously, the person that has problem, we're trying to bring chaos to peace very quickly. And I like the fact that it's a low optic. It doesn't show that you're being brute, especially these days with cameras everywhere. You don't want to have that projection in your department. You know, it's a you have to experience it. It's one of those deals. You know what I mean? Um, I greatly
yeah,
believe in it, and I appreciate you. And I told you this a couple of weeks ago. You're doing the world a favor. To for you to really come out with this invention. Um, I think it's beautiful. It's you're not hurting the person. You're getting the job done fast. Um, it's a great tool, man.
yeah. Well, I really appreciate your sentiments there, Carlos, and we're honored. Anytime that when we make a sale to an agency, we're not walking around high-fiving each other going, "We got the sale." As
Yeah,
far as I'm concerned, my my fund meter goes down and my huge sense of responsibility goes up, because we have men and women out there using our technology. And I pray every day that we have a great, I think we might have a 2 or 3% return rate.
Yeah.
And, the great thing about the glove is you really have a built-in backup when you're deploying in pairs. My prayer is that our products always work for the people when they need it, because, I've always said it's not just about, we have this saying, protect your officers, protect your public image agency, and protect valuable taxpayer dollars. But when we talk about protecting that officer, it's not just about them going home every day. It's about their future, your future, uh, their family, and their finances, right? No one ever wants to be that guy. And so, we're really thankful for what you and your brothers and sisters and corrections and law enforcement do around the country. And anytime that anybody allows us to partner with them, our sense of responsibility and dedication to them, it heightens. It doesn't go away. We're never going to rest on our laurels and say we've got this. We know that we can always do better, because we have big shoes to fill, and that's try to help our men and women in uniform do a very difficult and often thankless job. So thank you, brother. Appreciate you very much, and
Thank you.
looking forward to continuing the conversation and getting to know you over time. And I'll end it with this, and if you want to just hang on, Carlos, but if anybody's out there is wanting to try Compliant Technologies, you can simply email us at info@complianttechnologies.net. Visit our website at www.complianttechnologies.net. And we would be honored to set up a briefing demonstration, give you access to our research and everything else that we've done. We were blessed with a very good group of people that have been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. And we want to, partner with you to try to make our society better. And like I said, protect our officers, protect our image, and protect valuable taxpayer dollars, because we know at the end of the day, the money that Compliant Technology is making is making off the back of the taxpayers, and we want you to be able to save more money than what you spent on us. So it's got to be a win-win-win in order for me to be happy. So anyhow, take care. We'll talk to you soon, and God bless.
Appreciate it. God bless. Thank you.